There was some big news this week for the Patriots, and it involves a player that, if you listen to the show or you listen or read any of my content, you know I am a tremendous fan of. I think he's been one of the more underrated players in the NFL for the last, let's call it 4 or 5 years, and that is Stefon Diggs. He visited the Patriots this week. It took a free agent visit. He did leave without a contract. Mike Reese filling in a little bit more this morning in his Sunday notes, did a fantastic job on ESPN, as he always does. Kind of talked about, it was a chance for the Patriots to get familiar with Diggs, his background, also give him a physical. He's coming off a torn ACL, a chance for Diggs to get a little more familiar with the Patriots. Mike Vrabel specifically, again, did leave without a contract. We know how that can go. We saw it with DeAndre Hopkins 2 years ago. But, Cerrone, I hope they get this one done. I do. And I don't know that coming into there, I do know. Like, coming into the offseason, Stefon Diggs wasn't somebody I was pounding the table for. As much of a fan as him as I am, he's coming off a torn ACL. He's 31 years old. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty there. Mm-hmm. But for where things are now, I think he's as good an addition as anybody out there. And honestly, that's I would put that above even like some of the guys they missed out on last week in Cooper Kupp, right? Yeah. I'll take him over Amari Cooper, certainly. I'll take him over Keenan Allen. There's cons. He's probably not going to play until October. I do think the locker room stuff is super overblown.
Yeah.
Like, does he get emotional on the sidelines? Yes. I don't think he's like a locker room cancer, like some people have put it. But he's a guy that has had a ton of success in this league, 6 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons before getting hurt last year, was on pace to do it again last year, is an incredible route runner, which is something this team has not had. I think he'd be a good presence on the younger players, Drake May and the wide receivers. And you're probably going to get him like it's going to be a one-year prove-it deal. It's a 31-year-old coming off a torn ACL. So I would like to see him get it done. I know I don't know if I'm in the minority on that. I know that there are probably some fans that remember the antics in Buffalo and saw the way he left Minnesota and are worried. I think at this point, you're a better football team with Stefon Diggs than without him. And that doesn't mean they have to get him or the season's ruined, but I think he makes them a markedly better football team.
Yeah, I think which you're right on with I think the attitude part. People jump on that real quickly, but we're hoping the Patriots on Deebo Samuel, who I had more issues with the way he handled things on the sidelines when things got bad last year, snatching up his teammates and stuff like that. I think that was far worse. People wanted him more than they wanted Stefon Diggs. So I think a lot of these receivers have they remind me of NBA players. They're gonna come with kind of a diva type of thing with him. That's a skill position thing that we've seen in this league for decades. What it is.
It's been my line for the last couple of weeks. Like, Larry Fitzgerald's not walking through that door.
Yeah,
Larry Fitzgerald's 101. You can't count on that guy.
Exactly. It's like him, Barry Sanders are like the only two great skill position guys that you didn't really have to worry about. But that being said, I think at this point, which you're spot on with, is he better than Cooper? Is he better than, Keenan Allen at this point in his career? I loved Keenan Allen in when he was with the Chargers. He was a joy to watch because it wasn't always all about speed. It was just pure talent. But I think at this point of his career, he's even when healthy, I don't think Keenan Allen's going to do much for you. But I think Stefon Diggs is a better player at this point in time. Now, it's all about the injury. What does that knee look like? What does he look like? How is he getting around? What does that physical look like? I think that's a part that I wouldn't say is getting overlooked, but I think it's a key part to, people say, Wayne, he didn't get the deal. He didn't get the deal. The Patriots have to be careful, too. They can't get damaged goods here. And then a 1-year deal, damaged goods, you're only getting 7-8 games out of them.
And we've seen how that goes.
Yeah, that's not, you want to jump into that real quickly. So I'm not mad at the Patriots for being patient with this, and I'm not mad at Diggs being patient with the Patriots. So, but with all that being said, if they do sign him, yeah, he's probably your best receiver, but you have to wait. And my only concern with Diggs, and I mentioned this yesterday, was if he gets to a point in this season where he's frustrated with himself, he's frustrated with the injury, he's not being himself or whatever, does he have enough veteran presence around him to be able to, kind of, not be a friend to him, like, hey, man, you're going to get through this, I've been through that or whatever. I'm just wondering, how Drake May or young receivers can deal with, a guy who's kind of fighting himself, like just being frustrated with himself. And I don't know if that's a fair position to put these young guys in. But if the medicals come out good and he's a good player and he's out there ready to go, then you go ahead and make this move right now. And I still think, I know we'll probably get into this a little later.
Yeah.
I still think even if you sign Stefon Diggs, I think you still address it in the draft. Still address that position
absolutely. But to a point you just made about who's going to kind of be his leader, right? If he's the veteran in that room, I think that's part of what you're counting on Mike Vrabel for, and Josh McDaniels, this veteran coaching staff, and Vrabel being a culture guy. I think that's somewhere you lean on Mike Vrabel. As for the you're right, and you mentioned Keenan Allen, who I think is the next best receiver available right now. Does Allen have a higher floor? Probably, because he's healthy. Just because he's healthy.
Yeah, that's it.
But at this point, should we really be all that interested in floor?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, you're taking swings. Like I said, I like the idea of Stefon Diggs right now. This is still coming way down from where we were at the beginning of the offseason. We were talking about T. Higgins and DK Metcalf and even Chris Godwin. Like, this is not on the same level of those guys.
Yeah.
I would even have rather had Devontae Adams. And they have not been able to address the wide receiver position the way we would have hoped this offseason. This is not to say, hey, everything's going to be fine, but just because you didn't get the guys you wanted doesn't mean you duck your head and you go home.
Yeah.
Like, Diggs is better than not adding a receiver. We're getting close to that line. We're like, Amari Cooper's one where he took a big step back last year.
Yeah,
People were talking about Brandon Cooks, who I was a huge fan of when he was here. But that was, 7, 8 years ago now?
Yeah.
Like, Brandon Cooks, I'm good they didn't add Brandon Cooks. I'm fine with that. Diggs is a guy that does make your football team better, and I would like to see them add him. Was it on I think Zolak and Bertrand this week where they talked about it maybe being like 1 year, $16 million deal?
Yeah, something like that.
For Diggs.
It was on them.
Would you do that? For me, that would make all the sense in the world. If you can get Diggs on that contract, it's a 1 year deal, and you have all this money this year anyway.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt you. I mean,
if that's what it takes to get him in the building, I'm in. Go for it.
I think that can do that. I mean, if that's what he wants, I think the money is not an issue. I think if he's looking for 1 year, $16 million, they can easily cover that and not see it at all. And look, I mean, it's if it's up to money, then I think he'd be a Patriot right now. But I think it's what the things we were just talking about. Them wanting to make sure his medicals are good, and Diggs want to make sure this situation is good for him. And it's a guy who's never won a Super Bowl, so. If there's another team out there that's a true contender that you're battling with, that's something you're really going to have to deal with. Well, money won't be a factor. If, I don't know, Washington right now seems to be the hot team, but if somebody like that, a Green Bay or something like that, a good team is already sitting there like, hey, man, you can put us over the top. Like that was a situation when he went to Houston last year. Or Houston saying, hey, man, we need you back because, Tank Dell is still not right with his knee injury. So if a contender is out there, I think that's the only ones you're competing with right now. But as of now, I think he's still on the table for the Patriots.
You kind of mentioned it there. His former team could be a contender. And Randy in Providence, this is a good question, and I want to make sure we get this answered. Randy, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Alex.
Hey.
I know I've heard you talk about Diggs before, and you always say, he was a good teammate in Houston and this and that, but Houston's not bringing him back, are they?
No, they're not, and it's a fair question. Why wouldn't they bring him back? He was a captain. He was named a captain there in his first year. First of all, C.J. Stroud wanted him back. C.J. Stroud spoke, I think it was his end-of-year press conference. At some point, right when their season ended, he spoke that he wanted Stefon Diggs back. I don't know that door isn't entirely closed, honestly. It might not be. The one thing that I think is probably stopping them right now, you can only allocate so many positions to wide receivers who won't be playing.
Yeah.
And they already have Tank Dell, who you mentioned, who they're not going to have. So are you going to put more on Diggs, who's coming off a torn ACL, who's not going to play at the start of the year? They have Nico Collins. They have Xavier Hutchinson. They signed Christian Kirk, right? They're not necessarily desperate at that position. The Patriots are. So I think that, again, Stroud wants him back. So I don't think that door's entirely closed, but I think they're looking at it saying, Well, we have talent at the position. We don't want to spend so much money and so many roster spots on guys that won't play. We don't need to overextend ourselves for this guy. We'll see what happens. We'll see where the market goes. The Patriots are not in that position. It's not like they have guys they can lean on and be like, well, we have these guys, so we don't need to take a risk with a 31-year-old coming off a torn ACL. Again, it's not ideal, but we have to do a show today. If you want the Patriots to add a wide receiver in the veteran market, Diggs is the best option right now.
Yeah, and to what the caller was saying about them not wanting them back, that he said, I mean, this is a good move for the Patriots because of the position they're in. But most teams who have a good set of receivers, good quarterback, good offenses, whatever, they are not really kicking down the door for a 31-year-old guy with torn ACL.
Let's say Chris Godwin had taken the Patriots' money, right? Or they traded for DK Metcalf.
Right.
We're not opening the show today with Stefon Diggs.
No one's worried about Stefon Diggs.
That's not a conversation. So it's more about the Patriots circumstance compared to the Texans circumstance than anything else. So
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, and the Texans have other needs. They have other holes. It's like the strength of that team is their wide receivers.
I mean, they blew up their whole offensive line.
Yeah.
So they have a long way to go there.